Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video we'll be taking a look at Tecware's Orbis F3 starter kit. Keep watching to find out more. Okay, so on today's video we'll be taking a look at Tecware's Orbis F3 starter kit. Now this is a addressable RGB starter kit for PC cases and possibly other things if you wanted to, but essentially this is designed to fit in the holes where you would normally have a 120mm fan. Now the pack itself consists of multiple bits, so you've got 3 fans, all 3 120mm fans, 25mm depth, and also you get a controller box which will take up to 10 fans, so you can actually expand this kit, and it comes with a really handy remote control, and it can also be controlled via your motherboard's PWM and 5V addressable RGB headers. So it's a pretty decent kit, all the bits you need in there to give yourself a little bit of extra lighting in your case. So we should start off and talk about price first of all. So price for this one is a little bit unusual here in the United Kingdom. I found it a massive wide range of pricing, anywhere from around about £25 from somewhere like overclockers.co.uk all the way up to £40 from Amazon, which is yeah, a little bit much in my opinion, but still, if you do want them and you like them, then £40 isn't that much of an astronomical price to pay, considering you've got 3 fans, which you could value at maybe £10 a piece, your remote control and also your fan splitter hub, another tenner. So yeah, it does kind of justify the price, but certainly do shop around and you may find it a little bit cheaper. So that's the price out of the way. Let's take a look at the packaging. We'll go through what we get inside and then we'll fire them up for a practical demonstration. So looking at the packaging, it's pretty much typical from Tecware. So it's got this nice kind of satin matte black finish, and you've got the Tecware logo in the top corner here. It says 120mm times 3, so there's 3 fans in here. I couldn't find any of these sold singularly. I will look into it a bit further. If I do find them, I'll put those in the description below so you can check out for yourself. Also, there'll be affiliated links, so if you want to pick up a set of these, you can do. And Mike's Unboxing will get a little bit of a kickback from purchases you make. It won't cost you anything more, but it certainly does help support the channel. So also on the front it says addressable RGB sync, PWM fan speed control, RGB sync, PWM sync. Yes, I think they're making a bit of a case of that. Now for those of you that are interested, I have actually tried these out already on my MSI motherboard in the PC behind me, which is the B550 Pro VDH Wi-Fi, and I'm happy to say that the PWM connection, once I went into the BIOS and set it to PWM for the fan header, and then went into the MSI Driving Center and chose PWM, this could be adjusted with the temperature controls, etc. Oddly, it doesn't give out a RPM reading, which tends to be quite often the case with these types of sets. So your mileage may vary. All I can say is with the MSI motherboard that I've tried, it works absolutely fine, and I actually managed to get it a lot lower than the rated speeds that they say on the box. On the box, it rates these fans as being 950 RPM on the low speed and anything up to 1500 RPM on the high speed. Now I had this set so low, obviously there is no RPM that I could read, but certainly looked like about 300, 400 RPM. The fans were barely moving. So certainly there is an extreme amount of granularity for speed control and totally silent at those lower revolutions. At the higher end, there is a little bit of a noise there, as you'd expect at 1500 RPM. Most fans will be quite noisy regardless of how expensive they are or the quality of them, because purely it's moving a lot of air very quickly. Now talking of moving air, the rated speeds for this for airflow is 41.8 CFM, and also the air pressure is 1.23 H2O, and that's at a maximum noise level of 26.5 dBA. So these are certainly airflow fans, they're not pressure optimized in any way, so these are not going to be of any use on something like a CPU cooler or for a radiator, but for putting in your case, for just getting some airflow moving through, either put them at the front, put them at the top, or put them at the back, they're going to be absolutely fine. So moving around the packaging a bit more, we've got the Orbis F3 logo on the sides there, and on the back we've got all that technical information. Also it shows you what the connections are like. So you've got the traditional 4-pin PWM connection, only of which 2 of the pins are actually connected, so the 2 middle ones aren't. So this is a PWM, not a voltage DC setup. And for the addressable RGB, you've got the option for 5V, 3-pin addressable RGB, and also there is a fly lead as well. So for some of those gigabyte motherboards which has got the VDG connection, you can just use that fly lead. So that's pretty much it for the specs and the packaging. Let's take a look and see what we get. So first of all, we get a remote control. Most of you have probably seen these before. I'll be honest with you, it's very similar, if not exactly the same as most of the remote controls that come with cases such as GameMax, Sahara, etc, etc. So this layout is not going to be of any surprise to anybody, so we'll put that to one side for now. Next up is the control box. So on the control box you can connect up to 10 fans. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be fans. They do actually do a set of these which have LED strips in as well. So you can have a combination of maybe 6 fans, 4 LED strips, but there is 10 outputs on there, so you can certainly use those for crazy setups if you want to. If you've got a Lian lead dynamic and you want to put 9 fans in there and you want to control it from one setup, from one single SATA connection, then you can certainly go ahead and do that. Also, there is on the end of it, you've got the addressable RGB and the PWM input, which goes on to this side. And also you've got the option so you can change the LEDs from your case's reset switch, or if your case has a specific RGB button, you can use that. It's just a normal 2-pin setup. So you can connect that in there if you want to. So that gives you the flexibility of controlling the addressable RGBs from either a case button, from your remote control, or from your motherboard software should it have it. This is compatible with MSI, ASUS, ASRock, Gigabyte, etc., as long as they've got that 5V 3-pin addressable RGB header. So as you can see, we've got 5 connections on one side and 5 connections on the other. Now this is a specific type of connection, which is for these fans and these fans only. I have tried connecting up other fans from Sahara and also others, so yes, unfortunately they are only these fans. So if you do want to have more, you will need to get them all from Tecware, which is actually a pretty good thing because they are pretty decent fans. And speaking of which, we should certainly take a look at what else we get in this box. So we get the fly lead. So this is the cable which connects into the end of the hub, and then you've got a pretty long cable which has then got the 3-pin 5V addressable RGB, and with that VDG fly lead on the end as we discussed, and also you've got your 2-pin wired PWM connection for your fan header. Now this is quite close together, so it can be quite neat for wiring, but if you want to, you can separate those cables further down to give you a little bit more flexibility. Also included is a little bit of Velcro, double-sided Velcro, so you can actually attach that to the back of the control box and stick it into the back of your case, so flexible mounting options there. If you want to, just double-sided tape or just leave it lying around in the case, obviously entirely up to you, but for neatness you could use the Velcro straps included. Also included obviously are some fan screws, so those are there for installing the fans, and we should take a look at the fans themselves. You get 3 fans included, and by now you've probably seen some B-roll of these actually flashing and lit up, but we certainly will be doing that a little bit later on. As you can see, they're pretty nice looking fans. Nice feature of these is the Rgb ring around the outside edge. So you've got 16 LEDs in the outer ring there, and in the center section there's an additional 6. So 22 RGB LEDs, or addressable RGBs, in the fans, and they actually bleed through both sides. So you've got this nice opaque section on the front and also the rear, as you can see. So the light is going to come through. So if you've got them mounted maybe in the bottom of a case with air being brought in, you're still going to be able to see what's going on. And likewise, if you've got it kind of like on a sideways mount, you get the general idea. Basically, you can see the RGB from pretty much any angle. Again, you've probably seen that from the B-roll we've been flashing up. So from the actual fan itself, you've got about 2 foot of cable, which terminates in that 6-pin connection, which just plugs into the fan. And basically you have 3 of these. So again, it does state on the box 950 RPM is the low speed setting. That is essentially when you're using the remote control. So there is a button on there for fan plus and minus, and that goes through 3 settings. So you've got high speed, low speed, and basically off. So you can just press the fan button. It depends what you've got connected. If you've also got it connected to your motherboard as well for PWM sensing, then the off setting will be going back to the motherboard control rather than being able to press the PWM stroke fan auto button. Can be a little bit confusing once you set up, but once you get used to it, it makes total sense. And actually this system does remember the settings as well. I know that's been a problem with some other models, some of the up here ones we've reviewed, some people have had issues with that, but with these ones there is circuitry in there, so it does remember the last setting. So if you turn the PC off and you've got it set to a certain amount of RPM or a certain lighting style, when you turn the PC on the next time after being powered down, it will remember those settings, and that seems to work as long as the thing's turned off. So you can leave it disconnected for ages and it'll still remember it. It's not like you've got to keep on powering it up to actually put some charge into the unit. So that's enough waffling. Let's get these things connected up and we'll take a look at them. Okay, so first up, let's show you briefly how this is done. Obviously you'll be doing this inside of a PC case, or maybe you won't. Maybe you're going to set it up in a room or your studio, just have it as extra lighting, who knows, but this is essentially what you need to do. So first of all, you've got your SATA connection, which connects to your SATA connection on your PSU. So we'll just plug that one in first of all, making sure it's running the right way. So that's all you need to do with that. Obviously at this point you can, if you want to, attach on the double-sided tape on the back to mount it somewhere. We're not going to for this particular instance, but you can do if you want to. So at this point you can decide whether you want to actually have complete control over the fans with just the remote control and the buttons on the back here, which I didn't mention this earlier because I don't really like them, but you have actually got buttons on the back of this controller, so you can actually just press the buttons on there. But realistically, most people don't keep this hidden away, so I see no reason to even mention those really, but anyway, I just did. So at this point, you can decide whether you want to just connect up the fans on their own and not bother about the PWM and RGB connection. If you do want to synchronize it with your motherboard and with your motherboard software or from your RGB software on your board, then you will need to plug this in. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this one in anyway. So that just plugs in on the end. So at this point, these connections on this end, you'll then plug into your motherboard, which is obviously got an RGB connection. If it's only got a fan connection, you can still just plug in just a fan on its own to get the RPM read in, or conversely, if you want to, you can just plug in the addressable RGB and control the fans separately. You do have that granularity in the remote control. So now what we need to do is to connect up some fans, so we'll go ahead and do that. And this will be a little bit noisier because this is one of those cheap IKEA desks, so the it will vibrate like crazy. All you do, simply plug in to one of the available fan headers, and basically you're off to the races. So we'll try and do another one. I'll try not to get my fingers caught in it. And already I can hear them vibrating on the desk. So that's literally it. 3 fans connected. I haven't used any specific numbering on there, so you can use pretty much what you want. I'm into 6, 7 and 8. So if you want to keep your wiring nice and tidy on the back of your PC, you've got this somewhere, you don't have to worry about where you're plugging it into. So yes, all very cool. So as you can see, there's the fans set up. So hopefully you can see those in the lighting. At the moment it's on a green. They don't look as good on the camera as what they do in real life. They are quite vivid colours, if I'm completely honest with you. And I'll turn it off now so the fans aren't actually spinning. So that is me putting the fans into fan auto mode, and because we've not got a motherboard connected, it's just gone to 0 RPM. So there is that as an option if you want a 0 RPM. If you press the motherboard sync button on the remote control, that will turn them off and hand over control to the motherboard. So whatever your motherboard is putting out on that 5-volt header, that will be what you see on the fans. So you can have basically 2 setups. So you can have maybe your motherboard set to a specific thing, like a red color, and then when you switch back to the remote control, you can have it on kind of rainbow puke. You get the idea. 2 different setups depending on how you have it, motherboard or through the controller itself. So let's turn it back on. You've also got an on-off button, so you can just turn the whole lot off, turn it back on, and it's basically going through its kind of party mode at the moment. So this is one of the looks, and actually, again, it's not doing it justice on the camera. It really isn't. I wish I could show them in a better lighting, but unfortunately, it is what it is. Maybe if actually we turn the studio lights off a minute, and then maybe you'll be able to see them a little bit better. So there we go. There are the fans. We've changed the lighting now, so you can't really see much else other than what is going on. So Q1 is your typical traditional rainbow puke, and as you can see, it bleeds through from both sides. And again, the camera really isn't doing this justice, so there will be some B-roll of this so you can see what it's like also. So Q2, basically going through other color changes, and what you can see as well, the actual center section, get a bit closer, is actually changing as well as the outer ring as well, which is pretty cool. So Q3 is the kind of chase pattern. Q4 is like transitioning from one color to another, and Q5 is kind of like the dancing, which again is really nice. I really do like the look of these fans. So let's go through some of the other options. So starting off, so we've got the red, green, blue, as you expect, then it goes into yellow, a pale blue, then we've got like a pinky color. Again, this is not really done justice on the color. We've got a bright white, which actually is pretty decent and lights up quite a lot. Then you've got a chase pattern, another chase pattern, basically going through the colors again. Then we've got our rainbow puke, and then we've got like a chase effect. That's actually quite a nice effect. I like that one. A little bit. All of the effects on here are a little bit different from what I'm used to seeing. I think it's because the center hub lighting up as well. Just gives it a little bit of a extra class, in my opinion. So again, you can go through all the colours. Got various types of movement there. And colour changes. Yeah, it's quite a cool effect. And you've got your fades as well, so if the fade is your thing, you can use that. You've got that in the various colours. Again, more kind of cycling of colours. Then you've got your traditional kind of Aurora, which was the kind of the original RGB type. So if you've got maybe an older motherboard, such as a older Asus board, Asus Aurora, 12 volt setup, or an MSI or whatever it might be, you can use this. You can actually speed up the lighting as well, so you can actually make it cycle through the colours a little bit faster or a little bit slower, as you can see there, so you can get it to sync with pretty much most things. And then we go back to our rainbow puke. So I think that's going to be pretty much it. I'll put the fans on to full blast. I have got my mic on, so hopefully you can hear what they're like. Hopefully they won't fall over. And this is my microphone, roughly about 10 inches away. So you should be able to hear that. That is on the full load. And on the low speed, you can basically hear kind of nothing really. Very, very quiet indeed. And you can get them slower than this, like I said earlier on in the video. Okay, so that's pretty much going to wrap this one up. As you can see, I've got the fans now with one's facing forward. This one is side on, so you can see the side view. And this one is facing the rear. So you can see the light is pouring through. No matter how you have it, you are going to get a pretty decent light show out of these things. So I think that's going to pretty much wrap this one up. If you've got any comments or questions, feel free to put them in the comments section below. In the meantime, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.